Back on Tide Talks, presented by RWJ Barnabas Health, proud to be the official healthcare partner of Princeton Athletics. Joined today by Ford Family Director of Athletics, Mollie Marcoux Samaan. Mollie, I want to go back a little over a month. It's kind of hard to believe that it's been almost 5 weeks since the last Princeton team took the field. I want to go back about a month to sort of that whirlwind in mid-March. March 10th, the Ivy League cancels its basketball tournament. A day later, the Ivy League cancels spring sports. The day after that, on March 12th, the NCAA cancels all winter and spring championships. Take us back through what I have to imagine was one of the most challenging stretches of your career as an athletic director.
Yeah, absolutely, Cody. When I think back on that 4 or 5 weeks ago, the emotions are still pretty raw. I mean, that was a really, really difficult time. I would say among the most difficult of my professional career, for sure. And there was so much wrapped up to it into it, and things were just moving so fast and furiously. I think the first step in that was obviously the president's deciding to cancel the Ivy League basketball tournament, which, as you can imagine, was devastating for our student athletes and for our coaches. And that was really, the first decision that was made, as you said. And we were able to tell the student athletes in person. We got that news early in the morning, and we were able to get the teams together and go meet with them. And I would say just the true raw emotion and disappointment of our student athletes and our coaches was just so palpable. They handled themselves beautifully as they always do, and I was really proud of them. But these kids had worked their whole lives for this, and I think our men's team in particular was really excited about the opportunity. They were sort of getting better every week, and I think thought they had a really great chance. With our women's team, it was obviously a little bit different because the league had decided that the regular season champion was going to move on to postseason. And so while they were super disappointed about the tournament, they also still were, thinking they had this opportunity to go to the postseason. But they also felt really horribly for the men's team. And then, as you said, we thought at that point the spring season was still going to move forward. We thought we would cancel spring break trips and we would slow things down. But we really did believe that the spring season was moving ahead. And so when we got the news the next day, sort of midday, that the presidents really felt like it was in the best interest of the students and of the community, which obviously proved to be the absolute right decision. They had decided at that point, and we needed to move really quickly to get that information out. President Eisgruber very graciously and generously agreed to come down and meet with our entire staff, and we mobilized everyone really quickly. We sat 6 feet apart in the Jadwin bleachers, and he delivered this really difficult news and just did a fantastic job with that. And then we needed to get an email out to our students because the public announcement was coming out at 3 o'clock. And again, if you remember, we were really the first ones to do this. I think the NESCAC had canceled some spring activity, but it was a big, really hard decision. And so we got the email out, so students were receiving it at different times. But we felt really strongly that we needed to go out and have sort of conversations with our teams. And so we got out throughout our complex and tried to meet with as many teams as we could at that point. And I will say again, it was really hard, and seeing the disappointment, and really a lot of kids at that point didn't understand it fully because I think we were the first to really do that. And so but one thing I will say that I saw so clearly, and obviously this is why we all do this, is because we know how meaningful this experience is. And it was so clear from meeting with the teams how connected they were with each other, with their coaches, and with this, athletic experience, and how much it truly meant to them. So again, I would say that's the silver lining, but still just tremendous loss and disappointment. And then, fast forwarding to, we still thought some of our teams were going to postseason because that hadn't been fully canceled. And so the women's hockey, for example, was getting on the bus the next day, and we had said, let's not send them until we really know what's going to happen. We had the thought that the NCAA was going to cancel all of it, but they hadn't done it yet. So, the team was packed and ready to go. And again, I tell a story of one of the student athletes who was a senior who just loves playing and had such a great career. she just couldn't stop crying. I think she knew that her reaction was intense, and she was sort of laughing while she was crying, but it just meant that much to her. And I really appreciated how much they all really cared and loved each other. And a lot of teams, as you know, Cody, had a great chance of doing things some Princeton teams have never done before in the postseason. And there was just a lot on the line for a number of our teams. We were having a phenomenal winter, and so yeah, it's been hard for sure.
Where are we at now as a department, and going forward, what's your focus?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been working round the clock, as you know, because you've been absolutely killing it, and I so appreciate the work that you and your team have been doing. But I think when this all happened, we had to take a step back, as we always do, and sort of focus on our values and lean into those values. And I would say, first and foremost, for us, it always starts and really ends with people. And so that was our number one priority: is how do we take care of our people, both our student athletes, our coaches, our whole department, our alums? How do we communicate properly? How do we support? How do we help? Again, we're relying mostly on our coaches to do the communication with our student athletes. We have almost 1,000 student athletes, and they're the ones most connected. But we sort of came up with a communication strategy right away. We were meeting all the time with head coaches and with senior staff and getting communications out to the degree they were appropriate. And then beyond people, again, I talk about this all the time, and we focus on our values. And when you know what your values are, you know what you believe in, it's a little easier to make decisions moving forward. So, education through athletics being our top value, having our students achieve, serve, and lead. So focusing on service and leadership. And then, we have this Be a Tiger program where we want our student athletes and really our whole staff to focus on being accountable, team oriented, having integrity, being growth minded, being engaged and being respectful. And those are really important to us. And so everything we did, we sort of focused on those values. I would also say for us, we're really into positivity and sort of just focusing on looking at the silver linings to the degree that we can, being positive and then also being grateful. And so with all of that being said, that's kind of how we've managed our work, and we've been really busy, and people are working around the clock to sort of figure out all the ins and outs of this. Obviously, very uncharted, and I have to say, our coaches and our staff have just been phenomenal, and the way that they have been continuing to build culture on their teams, continuing to support the community, continuing to our students are doing reading with e-reading with the Tigers, where they're doing sort of YouTube videos for the local schools that we were always doing, and we just turned it on into a virtual program. So everyone's been really, again, focused on getting better every day, focused on living in the moment to the degree we can. I think that's really hard to do, not worrying about too much what did happen and what may happen, but what we can do in this moment to continue to get better and to continue to grow. I would say specifically, obviously, a lot of our time right after all this occurred focused a bit on the eligibility question, which is really, really challenging and really complex. And, we wanted to just get as much information to the university to make the very best decision. We wanted to really make sure everyone understood the value of this athletic experience, make sure that all of our facts and figures were accurate, and really just try to advocate to the degree we can. And it was a really complex and nuanced situation that I know some people were really, disappointed about, and I totally understand that. And I think from here, again, I could talk about this for hours because it was really nuanced and complex. But ultimately, the university made the decision to really encourage and make sure that students didn't withdraw. And that was really the only way students could get their eligibility back, was to withdraw from school right now. And that was the decision that was made. And I think right now for us, we want to just support our student athletes moving forward in any way that we possibly can. Those students who might use that eligibility in grad school, support them, and really just focus on them and supporting them in any way that we can. So that's been one of the specific things, but there's been so much going on, and I think our department is using this as a period, an investment season, as one of our teams likes to say. Use this season to invest in our people, to invest in our program, and to get better every single day, and to come back when we're ready to compete, and have learned a great deal during this period.
I want to flip the script a little bit to what's become the new normal, and that's working from home. Seeing some of the videos and photos you've been posting on social media, I get a little bit jealous because in the house I grew up in, I always got yelled at for playing ball in the house. It doesn't really seem like that rule applies in your house.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things you get to do when you're the mom as opposed to the kid, right? You get to make some rules, and we get to play ball in our house a little bit more than probably most people, and we have been doing a lot of competing. I will say that I'm absolutely dying for our teams to get back into action because I'm getting 0 wins here at my house. I think we play broom ball or floor hockey all the time, and I think I've gotten like 1 or 2 victories out of several contests. I still can take them in ping pong, and we've been playing pickleball, and again, this is a really, really difficult situation for everyone, and there's just been tremendous loss in so many different ways. But we are, just like we're doing with the department, we're trying to make the very best of it at home, and I've really valued and appreciated obviously the time with my family has been phenomenal. And I think, again, investing in each other and investing in our family has been fun, and really trying to find all the silver linings in this. But I do need some wins, Cody.
Mollie Marcoux Samaan, Princeton's Ford Family Director of Athletics, joining us from the comfort of home, presented by Conway Comfort Heating and Cooling. Mollie, of course, a Princeton graduate, class of 1991, and you have a souvenir from your playing days.
Oh, yeah, I actually did, Cody. I had a couple. When you do this idea that you get to bring a little show and tell, I found this old school Princeton soccer. Some of my teammates may remember these sweatshirts that we wore. These were issued to us, and not quite the Nike gear that some of our student athletes get, but I have to say I have all of the gear that I was able to keep from my time, and obviously tremendous keepsakes and reminders of my tremendous experience being an athlete at Princeton many, many moons ago.
With the spring season being canceled, we don't want to overlook the success that we've had at Princeton this year. 6 Ivy League or 6 league titles. A lot of winter and spring teams that were ranked nationally, still competing for NCAA championships. Really a successful year, no matter how you slice it up.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. As you said, 6 Ivy championships. In the fall we had field hockey, who ended up going to the national championship game with a phenomenal season. Women's volleyball winning the championship, getting into the women's swimming, men's indoor track, women's basketball, and wrestling, all winning Ivy championships. And as you talked about with the postseason, having great opportunities in the winter sports. But in the spring, I think we have 16 teams that compete in the spring, and we generally win somewhere between 5 and 7 championships. In my 5 years, we've won between 5 and 7 championships, either Ivy championships or league championships. So, spring is a great season for Princeton, and we had some really, really great teams who were poised to again have phenomenal years. But we're really proud of the individual successes that we had and the team successes that we had. And again, we're going to make the most of this, and we're going to come back better and stronger next year when we do get to compete.
Mollie, thanks for spending some time. Good catching up with you, and hope you and your family are staying safe and healthy.
Yeah, awesome. And thanks, Cody, for all you're doing. It's really phenomenal work.